And so I want to answer a question that I got on Facebook, a comment under a post in Facebook that the question was, how can I'm trying to work on my shadows, trying to do some shadow work. How can I do this shadow work and not become the anger? Okay. Um, so shadow work can be a little bit tricky if you don't understand who you are compared to the shadow. Okay. So first you have to realize that the shadows are emotions, traumas, um, anything that you have put put to the side, put to the bottom, compartmentalized somewhere that you don't want to feel again. Um, and so they're just emotions and experiences from the past and that type of thing. So those are your shadows. It doesn't mean that they're bad. They're just pieces of you that you have hid so that you don't feel them. Okay? So the first thing that you have to understand is the shadows come from your ego. Okay? Anger, depression, past traumas, all that is just stored in your memory um, because that's what the ego does. That's what the mind does. The mind just stores things, and um, and really that's it. It's like just a computer or hard drive that just stores all of your past experiences from life, whether they be good or bad. Anything that made you feel a very strong emotion, whether it be good or bad, is going to be stored in your memory. Okay, so the shadow, the memories, the emotions are not who you are. So you are completely a separate entity from those emotions, those shadows. Okay, you are behind, you are the being, the divine nature, the consciousness behind all of that. So you are not any of those things. You are just the awareness, the consciousness behind it. So when you can sort of get that and realize that, then you can look at the shadows and look at the emotions, look at the traumas, and realize that they're not you. So you can look at it almost like you're a different person because you're a different being, you're a different consciousness than those shadows that you have. Completely different. Okay? So you have to learn how to separate yourself, your true self, from those consciousnesses. Okay? So once you can do that, once I can say, I'll say that I have anger issues. It can be anything. So once I realize that I am not the thoughts, I'm not the mind, I'm not the emotions that I express sometimes, I am the being that is behind it. So I am just the divine being behind all of this stuff. Okay. And that being doesn't 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 I don't want to say doesn't care about those things, but they're just not a part of it. They're not a part. Those emotions are not a part of your true your true identity. Your true identity is pure, is strong, is not really strong. It's just there. It's just there. It's just there, and everything is fine with your true self. Everything is beautiful in the eyes of your true self. Everything is um, everything is a lesson, and all of those emotions are just fine to your true self. So coming from that true self, looking at all of these things, all of the shadows, as different experiences that are all just fine, you can literally take that thing. So let's say it's anger. You can sit here and look at it from a higher perspective, from a perspective of non-judgment. That's the most important thing. You look at it from a perspective of non-judgment, and you feel it. If you have to feel some anger, that's okay. But once you identify yourself as not being that anger or not being those thoughts around it, then you can actually give it some love and let it go. So you can take that anger and you can love it and say thank you for serving me whenever it was that you did serve me. Thank you for protecting me when I thought you were protecting me. Thank you, just for being there in my life when you were there. It's all good and it's all perfect. And I love you and I'm going to let you go. Okay? And you just let it go. Now it may come back, especially if you're brand new to awakening, or if you're brand new to shadow work. It may come back here and there, and then you have to put yourself, because you're not going to stay in the perspective of just the observer looking at it with a non-judgmental attitude. Um, that takes so much practice to stay in that divine space. That takes a lot of practice to stay in that all the time. Then you become, the Buddha or, whatever. So you have to practice and practice and practice. And it's okay. Lots of practice. Practice is good. So take your shadows, give it lots of love. Picture yourself, picture it as an entity, picture it as its own consciousness in front of you, and just hug it and say thank you for serving me when you did, and I'm letting you go now. You just don't serve me anymore. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you let it go. And if you have to do that 50 times, then do it 50 times. That's how you do shadow work. That's my experience of doing shadow work anyway. I'm sure a lot of people probably have different ways of explaining it, but that's my explanation. And that's what has helped me in the past. That's what have helped people that I've helped in the past. And so I hope this video helped you. And if it did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And I love you guys. You can do this. If you're just waking up and you're doing shadow work, it is not going to be easy, because it's hard to understand that you're not that shadow, that it's a completely different entity. But you can do it. You got this. So just keep going, keep going. If you have to watch this video a few times, and if you have to, get into that space of just being that pure awareness with a non-judgmental view, because that's who you really truly are, then do that. Okay? It's such a blessing when you finally get to that place. It's such a blessing, and it's such a beautiful space that you can hold. All right? Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Namaste.